who I am now, it's not my responsibility to keep up with the idea that you have in your head of who I am. Because I'm not that person anymore. That is a part of my story, but it's not who I am anymore. And it's not my job to make you feel comfortable with that version of myself. Like, we growing and glowing, okay?
Hey friends, welcome back to our channel. I'm Allure. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. So today we are doing something a little bit different. I have here a guest with me, Miss M. If you guys don't know who M is, she is the community manager for the Good Girls Gone Boss Society. And I guess a little bit of background on how M and I met. She actually used to be a member of the society. And on the very first day on like orientation day, after the call, I was like, oh my God, these women are amazing. Emily is a vibe. So when the opportunity arose for a community manager, we were looking to hire a community manager. I was like, I needed to be M. Like, I needed to be. No, but actually, I was like, you know, if she doesn't want to do it or if she's not like available, I mean, that's fine too, I guess. But like, I would love if she was available. So yes, we ended up speaking about it and we hired her on to be the community manager for the Good Girls Gone Boss Society. So I will allow you to give a little bit of an introduction for yourself. Let them know who you be.
Thank you. Honestly, I just am so excited that I've been able to come into this position, especially as a previous member. So my name is M. I am the community manager of the Good Girls Gone Boss Society, but as Lynn mentioned, I was a previous member. And on top of that, I am a full-time student studying community safety. So we're kind of just all in the community aspect of things.
All for the community, all for it.
So I study, it's a combination of psychology, social work, law, government. So dipping my feet into a bunch of different areas. But on top of that, I also have my own community that I'm working on building called A New Day. And basically I help guide others to improve their lives and become the best version of themselves with the mind, body, and spirit connection. So that's what we're doing, and I think it really aligns well with my role as well as a community manager because I've been able to bring some of that information into the society too with different workshops and, you know, just kind of dibble and dabble into different fields, but also still remaining true to community, which is something that's super important to me. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes,
we're going to drop some gems, and I feel like we just talk like this a lot, so it'll be nice to have this conversation and share it with the friends on the channel.
Yes. Okay, so basically we're going to be talking about the behind the scenes of becoming that girl. And the reason why we decided to talk about this on the channel is because I feel that so many people... Well, I feel that lately there's been a lot of content surrounding becoming that girl, and everything is so aesthetically pleasing. You know, there's a lot of content surrounding that topic on TikTok, on Instagram, here on YouTube, just leveling up and becoming that girl. And everything looks so prim and proper, aesthetically pleasing, and we live for the aesthetic, honey. I live for the aesthetic, really. But I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the behind the scenes of what it really takes to level up and become that ultimate version of yourself that you know you have potential to become. But I mean, you've been living your life in a certain way for years. So that transition sometimes is a little bit difficult. It's a little bit rough. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, not just
everything in between.
Not just the aesthetically pleasing components of becoming your best self. So,
and I think that topic is super important to actually be transparent with the journey, because I think so many of us can get caught up in thinking that we have to do things a certain way, or if we're struggling or if we're going through a rough patch on it, that we're not gonna be that girl because what we see on the internet. But we're going to show you guys and have this conversation about what is actually going on and some of the things that aren't really showcased on social media, because I think that that's super important for everybody to understand.
Right. That social media is a highlight reel. Like, we love the aesthetically pleasing stuff because it's motivational, but then it can also be counterproductive because when you, like you said, when you're not at your best, you're having those down days, you're like, damn, I'm such a failure. Like, what am I even doing? All this imposter syndrome starts creeping in, all of these things. Okay, but I want to know, what would you say is the most important component of leveling up?
I think for me personally, on my journey of leveling up has really been the mindset, but not only mindset. I would say that the mindset and environment go hand in hand with each other. I know that we've talked about before, you can have the right mindset, but if you're surrounding yourself with people who don't align with who you want to be or the direction where you want to go, then that mindset it's not gonna do as much as it could be. If you were surrounding yourself with people who are also in alignment with that. And that's what I found in my life personally. I was getting on the right track with that mindset, but the people that I was still surrounding myself with weren't either encouraging or supportive of where I wanted to go, or they just weren't aligned with who I wanted to be. So I had to really check myself. And I know that we're going to talk about that with letting go of people, but I would say that it's super important to ensure that your mindset and your environment are aligned with each other.
I agree. Yeah, that mindset, I feel it drives everything else. Like if your mindset's shaky, everything else is shaky.
It's gonna be a shaky boat.
It's gonna be a shaky boat. Hold on to the railings, honey. It's rough if your mindset is. But I feel that also the journey to becoming your best self is already so difficult. That climb is already so rough that if you have people around you who are already trying to pull you down, like you really are fighting two battles now. So it's a lot easier when you have people who are pushing you up to climb this mountain that's already so difficult, as opposed to climbing it with all this extra weight.
Yes.
I know y'all see my analogies. I know y'all are picking that up.
Speaking metaphors, I love it. You know, you're right. And I think also so many of us who embark on this journey are also the first ones doing it in our families. And so it's kind of like you're just leading yourself. Like now it's easier now because there's YouTube channels like Lynn's and like and there's a lot of resources out there for people. But think about like 10, 15 years ago when you were trying to get on this journey, not all this information was accessible. So I think now it's even harder too when you're the first one in your family to start to kind of unlearn and relearn and begin to take these steps to become that girl or that guy, whoever you're trying to be. So I think that it's definitely important to also talk about doing this alone. And again, that's such an important reason why having good people around you who are on similar journeys is crucial, I think, to the leveling up journey.
Agreed. And you actually just brought something up that wasn't on our list of topics, but I do feel like it's really important. It's a big gem because you're first generation Canadian as well, right? I'm first generation Canadian as well. Both my parents immigrated here from Africa. Your dad too.
Yeah, Ethiopia.
Yes, ma'am. And so I feel like because they come from not only a different time, but a completely different culture, you already have extra barriers. So the things that are in your control, like I can't control where my parents came from and what they were taught and what was normal in their communities and in their culture. I can't control the path, but my current and my future, I have big control over that. Big control. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you.
Gems. Like zoom in on that. Yeah, that's so true. It's also like our parents too, I feel like, especially being first generation, they've done the best that they could do. Like my dad has worked so hard in so many different areas to try to set us kids up for success. And, you know, even us being able to go to college and get that education, like now we can it's like they've set us up to a certain extent and now we can kind of take that even further. So I think that that's super important to talk about too, is like knowing that a lot of the times you're going to be the first one to do things and it's going to be lonely sometimes, but there are definitely highlights towards the journey.
Yeah, like you really, it sounds crazy, like you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. But I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about when we say that. Like you have the opportunity to change who you choose to be around, but you can't change someone's character and their habits. As badly as you might want the people around you to become this version of themselves that you know they have potential to be, it might not even be what they want for themselves. And that's dangerous, to be trying to change people into like action figures that you have in your brain. You know what I mean? Like it's not your responsibility to do that for people.
And I think sometimes it comes from a place of love, or more so a lot of the times it comes from a place of love. But it's also important to know that you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, but you always have a choice in helping yourself and bettering yourself. So if you have to make the choice to let go of people, if you have to make the choice to let go of certain habits, behaviors, like, you always have that choice. And so I think that that's important also to understand when you're thinking about, like, oh, well, I think a lot of people stay friends with people or keep people in their circle because of proximity. Like, oh, well, I grew up with this person, or I went to school with them, or they were here for me through this and this and that. And it's like, sometimes people outgrow their seasons with you. And we have to be willing to let certain things go in order to excel and in order to really level up. How can you expect to be somebody when you're holding on to parts of yourself that you no longer identify with? Ooh. My drop!
No, but it's so facts, because I think also in regards to like staying friends with people just because of proximity, also history, I think it's difficult to let go of friendships because you've been friends for so long. But this is what we're talking about. Like, you've had these bad habits for so long, or not necessarily even bad habits. Maybe those habits served for the season.
Right.
Maybe when you were 21, it was all about bottle service and, you know, club scene. And now you're 25 and your mindset's just different. So at that time, those friends served their purpose, but it's like, you're either going to grow with me, or I'm going to grow without you.
Right.
But either way, I got to grow.
Exactly.
You feel me? Either way, I got to go. I got to go. But also, I think it's a little bit more difficult to make friends as an adult than it is to make friends when you were like in high school and college.
And also in the middle of this panoramic.
In the middle of a panoramic, honey.
Like, I realized too.
In a pandemic, honey.
I feel like for me, a reason why I've been able to connect with so many amazing people is because I've been open to the idea of making friends on the internet. Because even like, I feel like, and I tell people in my close circle this sometimes, is like, you can't expect to find your soul tribe or your soul family in the places where you once were.
Speak money.
So it's like, okay,
speak money.
If I can't find my friends in the same place where I grew up, then where can I find them? And, you know, this last year we've been really forced into isolation and forced to really just sitting with ourselves. And for me, it gave me a lot of time to sit down with myself and ask myself, like, what brings me joy?
Right.
Where do I want to see myself in the future? And so that's when I started watching your YouTube channel. And then I heard about the Good Girls Gone Boss group, and I was like, wow, like, this is exactly what I needed right now. Like, right? I told you this so many times, but like, when I got that email and I was like, hey friends, like, look what's happening, I was like, so I need to join this. Basically. And I'm so excited to right now that the society is open for enrollment, because other people have the chance to join the family as well. But it really gave me the opportunity to start connecting with people virtually, but connecting with people who were on similar frequencies, who were on similar mindsets. And even now, like, being able to meet up with some of them who are in Toronto, but meeting friends from the UK, from like all over the place in the States. And I feel like that's more powerful, even if it's a virtual connection, when you align with them, as opposed to, you're physically connected with someone, but what do you guys talk about?
What do you talk about? It's not everyday partying and gossip.
Do you just go out to eat?
It's like, some days we gotta talk about deeper things. Some days we gotta talk about business, mental health, family.
We need to get deep with it. Real deep. Like,
deep was deep.
It's from a movie. I'm trying to remember what. Deep. Oh my gosh. Okay, I know what movie it's from. You know, it's from College Road Trip.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, we gonna get deep.
It's necessary. Sometimes, like, it's not everyday partying and gossip. It's not every day, did you hear whose baby daddy did it? Did you hear who's pregnant? Did it? Some days, the concept, the muchinche, the gossip. Some days it's okay, but not every day. Not every time we link up, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but I hate to interrupt like such a good conversation, but shameless plug. I mean, the society is open for those who are interested. It's only going to be open for the next week, by the way. So, like, if you haven't already joined, go ahead and join, because this is the last time it's going to be open to new members. So, yeah, you definitely want to join the society while it's still open to new members. After this, once it closes this month, it's closed to new members, whatever. Because we're really trying to keep it like quality relationships, quality over quantity, quality friendships, and everything like that. So it gets a little difficult when it's too large of a group.
And I think that it's so refreshing now to be in the position of a community manager and also witness such beautiful connections happening. Like seeing in the Discord thread, like girls are like, hey, I need an accountability partner in Ohio. And then girls are like, hey, I'm in Ohio. So it's a very, like, one, it's a very safe space to be yourself. I think what's so great about it is that everybody's coming from different walks of life. And that's something I say when people are inquiring about it. They're like, should I join this community? And it's like, if you have the mindset of wanting to level up or the mindset of wanting to do better, then this is a space for you, because people are coming from all different ages. We have so many different ages in the society. You know, we have different like levels of education. We have different levels of awareness. We have mommies in the society. We have moms to be. We have college students. We have people who are figuring life out. Like, it's just such a beautiful space to bring together so many different but similar people.
Yeah, I agree. It's so many people who, like you said, come from different walks of life, but are interested in the same goal. Like, it's not, it takes a lot of the guesswork out when you know why you joined. And you're pretty confident that the other people who joined have the same intention. Whereas sometimes, I know for me, because I'm so used to having my same friend group, or like sometimes I get into really introvert modes, that like reaching out to somebody or making those new connections, you're not really sure like if they're gonna be like, yo, who does this girl think she is? Why does she want to be friends? But like, you're in this group, you already know everybody's like, new friendships, what's poppin', new connections, new networking. So it just takes the guesswork out of like, is she open to making new friends? And like, what is she into these days? It's like common interest, link up. Bad bosses, link up. Period. As you're losing friends, you're probably losing parts of yourself as well. So what would you say are those parts of yourself that no longer exist? Welcome to the new M, honey.
I think for me personally, I had to really evaluate why I was friends with the people I was friends with. And sometimes we tend to connect with people based off of similar shared experiences, whether that's
similar traumas.
Yeah, like trauma bonding is a big thing that I had to realize, like, why am I, like, when you take yourself out of the situation and when you are starting to become more aware and conscious of like who you have in your life, you have to ask yourself, like, why am I friends with you? Like, genuinely make a list of like what that person brings joy. Like, does that person bring joy into your life? Does that person inspire you? Like, I remember I had friends and I was trying to share, like, I'd be working on goals and I'd say like, hey, I want to stop doing this, or I want to start doing this. And they'd be like, oh, that's not going to happen. And then I'd be like, okay. Like, and then I kind of feel like down on myself, but it's not myself. It's the people I was surrounding myself with. So for me, when I really chose to like get my things together and really start showing up for myself, I had to let go of some behaviors that were holding me back. So I think something that's super important to understand and also recognize is that when you're leveling up, you're also losing parts of yourself. Those parts of yourself are still a part of your life story, but they don't entirely define who you are anymore. I think that's something I struggled with. It was like grieving the person who I once was and like letting go of that person, because that's all I knew for so long. Like, I would have never thought that I would be like honestly in the position that I'm in now. So it's like sometimes, and I know we're going to get into it about imposter syndrome, but sometimes it's like we have to be willing to let go of those parts of ourselves that we no longer align with. So whether that's letting go of certain habits, whether that's letting go of, you know, even just the way you used to speak or the way like speak about yourself. I know that that's something that I really had to let go of, was this idea that I had to be my worst critic. Like, no, the world's already against me. Why do I need to be my worst critic? I want to be my biggest cheerleader.
Why add to that?
Exactly.
And we spoke about being first generation and having to kind of break free from their expectations or what they were used to. in a different time, different generation, different culture. But I think what's important is to unlearn some of that. It comes with breaking generational curses, if we're being honest. Like when we talk breaking generational curses, it means unlearning parts of yourself that you were taught was okay, or you kind of dealt with and never really questioned your entire life. So to become this ultimate new version of yourself, you have to recognize that there are parts of you that are just not working out, like are not conducive to the person you're trying to be, are not conducive to the life you're trying to live. You've got to cut it out.
Right.
If you find that like you're losing all of your friends constantly, you're probably the one, like you're the one common denominator.
Sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes we are the problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's what exactly you said that so beautifully. Like, if everything's going wrong in your life and you're pointing the finger at so many other people, there has to be a time when you have to just sit and realize that you are the problem.
You are the problem. Sometimes a toxic trait is you, sis. Sometimes you are the toxic trait. Sometimes you're the toxic one. Like, I feel like this comes up so commonly with dating. So many times girls are like, oh my God, all guys are da-da-da-da. Like, I don't really think it's all guys, mama. It might be you. It might be what you're attracting. And if you feel like, everyone your age is doing da-da-da-da, like just change who you're attracting, change who you're surrounding yourself with, change the conversations.
Exactly.
All of that.
I think also a good point too, what you were saying with the unlearning and like breaking generational curses with things that you think are okay. Also, like some things that your parents may believe aren't okay, or some things that people in your family may believe that aren't okay. You may have a different viewpoint of that. So like it's constantly like unlearning and relearning, even like ideas about money. Like some people, like, have you ever heard like money is the root of all evil? But then now you're trying to make money and you're like, why isn't this working out?
Right. Girl.
Well, damn, I gotta unlearn this.
You hit the spot right there, because so many of us weren't taught to have your money work for you, to invest it and make more money. And so many of us feel like, oh, I have to make it fast. Whereas other families have built this generational wealth over time. It didn't happen fast. So why should you feel like you need it tomorrow?
Right.
You're going to enter the stock market today, hit a lick tomorrow, be a millionaire by the weekend. That's not how it works. Like, take your time to learn these things. It took you time to learn that all you have to do is save money. So it's going to take you time to really understand investing and long-term wealth and building it over time. It's going to take you some time to realize you don't need 5 or 6 jobs. There's only 24 hours in a day. It's only so many jobs you could work. Sometimes you need your money working for you. Sometimes you need that passive income, that residual income, that capital gain. All of that. It's not just I'm working all these jobs. So that's something I think that like I've had to unlearn and train myself to look at money so much more differently than what I grew up thinking was normal. I only knew like making a lot of money and saving a lot of money.
Until I really like joined the society, I thought that the only way to make money really was like working 5 or 6 jobs. And it's just like, even like learning about like making money on YouTube or like e-courses, like all these different things that you've been teaching in the society, I'm like, really? But then, that's not the environment that I grew up around. I know some people who would get like stocks for Christmas, and here I am getting like, my parents, they didn't have the luxury of knowing that, but now, we have a choice. Again, we have a choice to seek those resources out. The internet has an abundance of resources, of, online tools. So I think that that's super important. And even with like the mindset aspect of things, I think something that's super important is the mindset regarding money. And like knowing that it's not the root of all evil. And we can actually, like I was talking actually to my dad about this today and telling him that like money is just an energy currency. Like, and
it's true.
Yeah, like if you start to think like I'm a money magnet, I attract money effortlessly, like manifesting, whatever you want to call it, like money is an energy currency. So when you're putting that out into the universe, it's going to just come right back to you. And I've seen that in the last year. I'm like, oh, like I don't really have to be struggling all the time. Like I can make it work for me. Or even when I feel myself starting to stress about it, I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Remind yourself, I'll say the affirmations that I've been using, and then even just recently that happened, and I was like stressing, and then I was like, stop.
No. Yeah.
Take a step back.
Yeah.
Say some affirmations, and then the next day I got a scholarship from my school, and I was like,
won't he do it? Won't he do it? I really feel like ever since my mom's actually the one who put me up on this. She said, like, when you're doing well, just give more. Just keep giving more. So anytime I'm in a rut and I'm like, damn, like I'm stressed out, I literally just like Google different charities and stuff and just give. Give me like a day, 2 days, and I'm back on track and I'm booming. So like not having a fear mindset, or like, what's the word I'm looking for?
scarcity.
A scarcity, thank you. I was like a lack mindset. Not having a scarcity mindset around money. And when you're feeling like, damn, I didn't hit my target goal or my target sale amount, like give anyways. Give free game, give to charities, give time, energy, whatever, knowing that you're gonna get it back, and it always comes back tenfold. It's crazy. Okay, so another thing that I had to unlearn was the idea that in order to be successful, I needed to be some like rough, hard ass, like, ooh, excuse my language, some like rough, almost like, dare I say, masculine version of myself. I had to be rough, tough, stern, like all the time in order to get my point across, in order to earn respect, in order to be successful. That's something I had to unlearn. That's something I had to unlearn in regards to becoming that girl, becoming my best version of myself, because naturally I don't feel like I am hard, aggressive. That's just not my personality. I'm naturally real bubbly, real soft, real like playful. Like that is just my natural being. And at the end of all my videos, I'm always saying, be true to you. Be true to you. You gotta be true to yourself. Like, who are you? I am a very bubbly girl. I'm very, like, soft and, you know, real feminine. I'm a girly girl. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And I just always grew up thinking that the only women who were successful were like Judge Judy type personality.
Not Judge Judy.
Judge Judy girl. I really thought that. Because it's either men or the women who were successful were Judge Judy. So that's something I had to learn, that I can still be successful, demand respect, and get my point across, get things done while still being myself, while being true to myself. If there's anything that this life has taught me, is that there's a space in this world for literally everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are a woman who's not naturally like the stereotypical feminine girl, not the girly girl. There's still a place for you in this world to succeed and still have your dream life. And if you are that quintessential girly girl, there's still a place for you to succeed, be your best self, be true to yourself, and be successful. Be that girl. And for the guys, there's a place in this world for you too, regardless of what the world tells you you're supposed to be as a man. If you don't fit under those categories, if you fit under no category, like there's still a place in the world for you.
So true. And I think that something that's beautiful about this generation is people are having the freedom to express themselves more. And I think that once people can really tap into their entirety of who they are, even that's something that I'm still working through, is like fully embracing myself. Like when we can do that, like you said, there's enough room for literally all of us to succeed. And that's usually the parts of ourselves that we normally like hide, like whether it's like, oh, I don't know if I can be too girly, or I don't know if I can do this or that, like those are usually the things that are going to set you apart from other people. Like that's what your channel, a lot of people admire about your channel, is like that you do have that more feminine approach to things, but you're also very friendly and bubbly and everything. Like even when we were talking about like emails and stuff, you're like, I'm gonna send it like, yep, exclamation points, like whatever it is, like just be yourself. And I'm super excited also to like have more conversations about that in society coming up too, because I think so many of us are scared to start because we know like deep down, like I don't fit into this box. Like that's something for me. I'm learning. I'm like, don't put me in a box.
Don't do it.
Like don't do it.
Don't do it, because I don't belong there.
Exactly. So once we can like create our own way, and even my dad has always said to me, like, if there's not a path that you see, then make your own. And like that's even something I did with my education. Like I was like, I'm going into this program, but I'm not doing 4 years of it. Like I'm gonna get a year off because I know that I can do that with my last program of study. And so I created my own pathway into the program. And I was just like, if you don't see a path, then create it. And I think so many of us are scared to kind of take that initiative to succeed because we're scared of failure, or we're scared of maybe what that success will look like. But I agree with you. Like, once we can get out of those boxes,
that other people have put on us, put us into, I should say.
You don't know me like that.
You don't know me like that. Don't put me in your stupid, ugly box. You see all of this? Do you see all of this? Do I even belong in a box? Take me out this thing.
You do not belong in no boxes, okay?
Put me in a nice glass house, thank you. I want to talk about that fear of success, right? Because you did mention that real quick.
I talked about it in the society too. That's really the thing that's been holding me back.
Girl.
But I think that goes with the other thing that we were saying, like grieving parts of ourselves from the past. Like, who am I? Who is successful? And I'm like, you know,
who is that girl?
Racking in 6 figures, whatever, keep going up and up. Like, I don't know who she is.
Right.
And that scares me. I know that she's in there. But it's like getting to that point, and I felt so weird for so long thinking like, I'm not scared of failing. Like, I love failing because then I learn. Like, you know, I know that sounds weird, but it's like, I love
failing.
I love being able to learn.
Yeah,
like,
no, I feel you.
Something on this life experience, like, of being a human being is like learning.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not that part that I fear.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally success.
Yeah, I feel you completely.
And maybe that's a combination of being first generation, a combination of grieving parts of yourself that no longer exist.
Yeah.
Parts of, so you're telling me I can go anywhere I want, when I want, I can eat what I want, when I want, like all that stuff, you know? It's like getting out of that scarcity mindset. There's so many things that you're not used to. So
that fear of freedom as well. The fear of success is real because you haven't really seen it before, like you said. Like, who is this mega successful M? I've never met her before. And like, when you're not popping, everyone's kind of like, oh, okay, that's nice. I love that about you. You're so ambitious. Love that about you. When you start popping off, that's when like the hate comes, right? And before, the hate was minimal, so you're like, yeah, I'm not worried about it. But as you continue to grow, the hate starts to grow with it. And then you have to not only combat that, but combat the imposter syndrome. That now you're like, well, I don't even know this version of myself yet, this mega successful version of myself yet. And already I have to defend her. Already I have to be like, ooh. I have to go hard for this version of myself that I don't even know yet because she's so new to me as well.
Right.
So I think that imposter syndrome, when you're at the beginning, it's a lot easier to like get over that imposter syndrome. But once you start making leeway in your journey of leveling up, that imposter syndrome is real. Because now you're like, well, who am I to be getting all of these opportunities amongst these other people who have been doing it for far more years before I did, much older than me, have all these other accolades behind them, and I'm here on like the same stage as them, same opportunities, even better. It's like the imposter syndrome does start checking in. Yeah.
So then for you on your journey then, because now you have reached a point of great success, would you say that when you were kind of beginning it, did you fear more of like that failure or more of that success aspect, or maybe a combination of both?
No, I was extremely fearless actually.
Okay.
At the beginning, because I didn't really tell other people, and I talk about this often. I'm always telling y'all like, keep it secret until it's secure.
Yes. I was just saying that to my sister recently. Like, Lynn says this. I'm like, I'm trying to kind of move more like that.
Yeah, I was always like, keep it secret until it's secure, because once I'm secure about it, I could care less what you say about it. I'm good. But it comes to a certain point where it's kind of hard to keep it secret. And I'm talking about the capacity in which my success has been, because a lot of it has been via social media or the internet. So the exposure is different, as opposed to maybe if my success was like climbing up my corporate ladder at my job, it'd be a smaller set of eyeballs on me, right? But because it's via social media, it's a little bit more difficult to keep it secret until it's entirely secure. You know what I mean? So yeah, in the beginning, my fear kind of didn't exist. I was extremely fearless. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And it's not that I didn't care who knows, but no one really knew for me to even take in their opinions like that. Like, I can't consider your opinion if I don't know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So now when you just said that, and then you said that you want to make sure that you're secure in it first, I see what you said completely differently. Because I was thinking before when you said that, it was more so like, people don't need to know, but now you're saying it in the aspect of like, you need to know first, like just more of that trusting yourself and knowing like, okay, look, I'm not going to share this unless I'm fully secure in this. Like, that's a really good perspective. And I think that that's something that I've struggled with in the past is like, I get so excited about things and I think that people are going to be happy for me. And then I share things and it's like, then stuff starts to unfold the wrong way. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I thought people were happy for me. And I've even been seeing too, like, you're right. Once you start, when you're first starting something, like, people are like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
And then you start to do other things and they're like, oh, who do they think they are?
That who does she think she is crazy. Like, there's stages of like your success or level up journey. First, it's like, okay, I don't think that's gonna work, but then it's, oh, well, who does she think she is? And then it's, oh my God, I love that. I'd love to support. And then it's, oh my God, I've been rooting for you. I remember like in the very beginning when you I remember I was like your 5th subscriber. I was like your 5th customer. Yeah, it's definitely stages. In the beginning, they're like, well, who does she think she is? And then something happens, it's a transition, and now they're like, actually, can I learn from you? Actually, can you set aside time? Let's jump on a phone call.
Can I pick your brain?
Can I pick your brain?
No.
Sounds painful.
Yeah, wow. It's like in that episode of Insecure where Issa does a block party and Kelly's like, you know what? At first I didn't know what you were doing. And then I didn't think that you were going to pull it off. But now I see that you pulled it off. And Issa was like, yeah, Kelly, I was there the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, dang. Sometimes it really is our friends.
Yeah.
I still love you, Kelly, but...
Yeah, sometimes it be your friends for real. And like, going back to keeping it secret till it's secure, I feel like it's secure on all facets before you go ahead sharing it. If it's like a deal that you're really excited about, don't share it until you've secured the deal.
You've signed that paperwork.
Yeah. If it's something that you're working on, make sure that you're secure in it. If it's a relationship, make sure you're secure in it. The foundation is secure, everything's secure before you go on sharing. Because it's like other people's opinions, we're human. And some people take other people's opinion to heart more than others. But at the end of the day, everyone's affected by outside words on some sort of regard. So if it's a new venture you're about to explore, someone's going to come, oh, I heard so-and-so tried that. It didn't work for them. I don't think you should do it. If it's your new boo, oh, he used to try and talk to me. Oh, I heard he used to try and talk to that. Now you're looking at your boo like, dirty. You dirty. You little used up dirty. Yeah, so like you just need to be secure in it so that when you share it with people, it doesn't matter what they say. You need to be secure on whatever you're working on before you share it with other people, but sometimes it doesn't get to work out like that, unfortunately. Like in an ideal world, you could do that, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes people are privy to your growth. Like I feel like I'm growing my social media presence in front of a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And I'm learning too. Like there's still parts of me that there are still things that I have to learn. I'm always going to be learning. That's never going to stop. Until I die, I'm going to be learning. So you're going to be making mistakes in front of people.
Right.
You're going to be going through all of that with an audience. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I am learning and I'm growing into. Every day I'm growing into the next version of myself, a better version of myself. I only get better with time, honey.
Like wine, I get better in time.
Ooh. I only get better with time, really. So there are a lot of mistakes that I'm going to make, and I'm excited for them, actually. I'm excited to learn from my mistakes, learn from my failures. I'm excited for all of that. But I do think that people feel once you have one area of your life put together, first of all, you're not allowed to make mistakes anymore. And secondly, that you are meant to be some sort of avatar that they've generated in their brain. And it's like, that's what I'm not about to be.
Those boxes again.
I can't be what you expect me to be. Especially when it's not communicated. Because sometimes they'll just be like watching you and telling and thinking in their brain like, oh, well, she didn't do da-da-da-da. Or like, oh, she's successful now. She's just going to pay for the whole table's bill. I'm sorry, am I your sugar mama? You better.
Yes.
Did I ask you on a date? Yeah, I think that it's understanding who you are, understanding that you're not even done cooking, you're still loading, and other people's perspective of you really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, it's again almost like that entitlement that some people feel to you if they've known. It's like, who I am now, it's not my responsibility to keep up with the idea that you have in your head of who I am. So it's like people, like, for example, people who knew me even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if they were to see me today, they're going to be like, who does she think she is? Because I'm not that person anymore. That is a part of my story, but it's not who I am anymore. And it's not my job to make you feel comfortable with that version of myself. Like, we growing and glowing, okay? And that's something that I really try to, like, talk about too with the community that I have, A New Days. Like, sometimes in this journey, like, we're not gonna have it figured out, but sometimes we are gonna have it figured out. It's like this up and down, almost roller coaster, and like being able to be transparent, I think, about those things. Like, something I've really struggled with is like letting go again of that past self. But an analogy that I have about it is actually that it's like, in life, this is my dad always speaks to me in metaphors, so now I started like forming my own
African dads,
right? It's like
African dads and their metaphors. I cannot. Okay, come through, Dad.
I'm so grateful though for it, because it allows me to see life in a different way too. But basically, this metaphor that I came up with is that, like, our life is like a puzzle, and you need all the pieces to complete the puzzle, but one single piece cannot complete the puzzle. So it's like, my past is a single piece of the puzzle. It doesn't define me entirely, but it is a part of my story. So it's like, I can place that in there to complete the puzzle, but I still got other pieces to find. I still got other pieces to discover. So it's like,
I love that.
Just because you're stuck on one piece doesn't mean that my puzzle isn't going to still be complete. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still growing, I'm still glowing, and like, it's not my responsibility to make you feel comfortable with the version of myself that no longer exists. Sorry, but I gotta go.
Period. It's not my responsibility. Your opinion of me is none of my concern. It has nothing to do with, most of the time, the people who critique you aren't even in a position to help you level up anyways. So, like, your opinion is really irrelevant of me, because I don't wish to be you on any type of facet. Not physically, not mentally, not financially. You're over here just really trying to pick me apart, and you're not even helpful to who I'm trying to be. So really, your opinion should be irrelevant.
I remember actually when I was still a member in the society, and I had called you about something, and I was like, Lynn, like, it's just like weird to me how people keep like watching my stuff, but they're not following me or they're not supporting me. Like, it just makes me feel a little weird. And you had said, like, honey, like, people are always gonna pull up with their popcorn, like, watching you and stuff, and you just have to like continue to navigate your way through it. And that's what I've been realizing too. It's like, those people are just watching, I feel like, to see if they can still identify with you in some way. And it's like, you're just lurking.
Really, that's really what it is. They're just lurking. Sometimes they're watching to see if they can identify with you. Sometimes they're watching hoping that you fail, so they have something to feel better about themselves about. Like, when you come from the same place as somebody and you start doing well, they almost feel like, who does she think she is? Actually, a lot of times they feel like, who does she think she is? Does she not know, what's average around here? Like, what we do around here, does she not know what the status quo is around here? Look at her trying to be something that she's not. So it's almost like they watch just hoping that you're about to fail, so that they can be like, see, call up their homegirl. Remember when I told you she was trying to do something crazy? Look, didn't work out for her.
Right.
But then when it does work out for you, because you continue being consistent, because the come up is in the consistency. When you still continue to be consistent and you do come up, then it's, oh my God, I've been watching you since the beginning. I've been supporting you since the beginning. Now, and were you?
Have you really been? But I think it's also like, easier said than done sometimes to be like, oh, like let go of people's opinions, or it doesn't matter what people think. Like that's something I'm still really unlearning, is like that people pleasing and like caring what other people think. So I do want to just disclose, like it is a lot easier said than done, but like as you start to again like find people who do value you and find that value within yourself too, like affirmations are something that have helped me so much, and like just understanding that yes, people are always going to have something to say. Yeah. But how do you feel about yourself? Going back to that secure with yourself, like being secure in that. And so I think that that's super important too, because like when you have that confidence within yourself, then those expectations that people do have of you are kind of just like, it is what it is. Yeah. Like I'm going to still do me. Yeah. Even it's like you have to believe in yourself more than other people believe in you.
Right. No, it's 100% fact. Little story. Okay. Basically, if my little cousin's watching this, like, you know I love you, girl. It's not about you. It's her little ratchet friends. But it's not even about it's not about the friends either. I'm just saying, this is just an example. But I went to my little cousin's birthday, right? And there was some talk about like, oh, who does this girl think she is regarding me? Like, oh my God, she came in there with designer and she was just acting like, you know, she's better than people. And I'm like, I brought you guys pizza. I was making you guys drinks. I was actually so hurt for a quick second when my cousin was telling me like her friends just thought I was so stuck up, so bougie. Like, who does she think she is? She actually used like some curse words, like, oh, she thinks she's like some bougie bitch or da-da-da-da. And I was like, me? The girl who was making them drinks? I brought them pizza and they ate it so quickly? Da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh my God, I would have never stopped. Then I had to stop for a quick second and be like, you have to remember who you are. And also remember who that group of girls are, you know? And I was about to say her name, but like, if you're watching this, don't think it's about you or your friends. Like, don't take this the wrong way, but like, I would never want to be those girls. Like, I wouldn't want to trade spaces with them in any type of capacity. So in that moment, actually not even in the moment when she told me, it was like a few minutes later, I was like, why am I offended by that? Because their opinion of me really doesn't shape my future at all. They can't help me to get to where I'm trying to go. And they didn't help me to get to where I am now. So I completely agree that it's way easier said than done. In that moment, I was offended. I was like, I am so nice. I'm like literally one of the nicest girls ever. If they'd asked me for something, if I was in a position to help, I would have helped them with the quickness. And I don't know these girls from a can of paint. So for me, what that was, if I'm being honest, this is a safe space, right? In that moment, I felt like, am I now the stuck-up rich auntie that like people are like, oh my God, she thinks she's better than people? Like, is that me? Am I like Tony Childs in real life? Like, no, for real. I was like, I'm so nice though. Why would they think this? Like, what did I do? But because this version of myself is new, I have to learn to defend her while simultaneously being secure in who she is. So like going into spaces like that where we're in the hood with a group of girls who are used to like just like hood behavior, right? They're used to what the hood has to offer. Like, I'm gonna have to acknowledge that that's different for them. Someone like me is different from them. I look like you don't belong here. So I have to learn now the spaces that the new version of me belongs in. Like me just showing up dressed nice, I come off as, who does she think she is? Why did she show up in designer? And I'm like, these are just my clothes. Right. Like the dress code was all black. I came in all black. Right. Yeah, I'm just learning now to not care about other people's opinions and learning to defend who my current version of self is, be secure in this current version of self while still defending this version of self, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think also like you touching on the belonging, like, oh, she doesn't belong here. Yeah. That, when we think about belonging, that's literally one of our, like, we have the hierarchy of needs, and the need for belonging is at the top, I believe, or one of the top positions. So it's like, we're always going to feel threatened or challenged or hurt when we feel that almost like rejection or like that we don't belong. And so that's like in that moment that you're explaining, or even in other moments that we've experienced as people, it's like when you kind of experience the not belonging part, that's when you start to question yourself, because like as humans, we're literally wired to feel the need for belonging, and when that doesn't happen, then we're gonna be like, what? Like it's almost like we're in danger.
Through with the theory.
Like come on, some psychology here. Like we have like the hierarchy of needs, and the need for belonging is super important. So I think that in that experience that you're mentioning, like that's a great example of it. It's like you felt like you didn't belong there, and then afterwards you were kind of like, what happened, which is a normal response, and then you also use that highest self now that you're a part of to be like, you know what, like let me unpack this and see what's going on. So I think that you handle that situation really well, and also like you're a human being, so of course you want to belong. We're humans, like come on,
through with the psychology theory. No, but it's very true. I like to think that I'm self-aware. So when situations like that happen, I'm now like unpacking that moment to see if maybe there were things that I did that came off condescending, or like I thought I was better than people. And when I started to analyze the situation, I'm like, I just don't belong in a situation like that. That's just not my scenery. And it goes back, I've said this on my channel before, like I don't frequent certain places that I don't belong to, like I don't belong in, because I know where I thrive. I know where I'm accepted. I prefer to go where I'm celebrated, not just tolerated.
Ooh.
So
come through.
Yes, I'll always choose to go where I'm celebrated versus where I'm just tolerated, always. And I started to recognize, like, there's so many spaces I've been in recently where the feedback is always, oh my God, so-and-so thought you were so amazing, so funny, so sweet, like, oh, so-and-so wants to hang out again, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. That's just my vibe, that's my crew. So I think it's really important to just, like, as you grow into that new version of self, start to recognize the spaces you don't belong in anymore. Because I got a few of those spaces that I don't belong anymore. Maybe when I was, doing other things in my life that I'm not ashamed of, but it's just not me today. It's not 27-year-old Lynn today. She's not doing certain things she used to do.
Yes. Just like we outgrow people, we also outgrow places. That's so true. Like even recently I went somewhere and I was like, somewhere I used to go when I was in high school all the time. I went there and I was like, I don't belong here anymore. And I think people maybe were like, who does she think she is? But I was like, I just don't belong in this space anymore. I'm going to take myself out of this. Like, oh, why'd you leave so early? And I'm like, I have to set those boundaries. And I tried to be there, but I knew deep down, like, you don't align with this anymore. And I still went, and then I had to make that decision to be like, nah, girl, you knew better.
You knew better. So yo, that is so facts to know. Like, I never used to be the person who could leave a party early because I just felt like, oh, it's kind of rude. I know now that I can enter a space just to show face and show support and get up out of there, because it's not my scenery. And it's not condescending. It's not saying that I'm better than anybody. I'm not saying, oh, we're in two different tax brackets, we dress differently, so you're beneath me. It's just, I'm not in that space anymore. Or maybe I never was in that space. Who knows and who cares? It's just not, we don't mesh today.
It's just different.
That's all it is. And sometimes you just gotta be honest with yourself.
That part.
What's a misconception that you feel a lot of people believe about becoming your best version of self, despite all the downsides that we just spoke about? Because I'm sure there are more, but what would you say is one misconception about becoming your best self that a lot of people don't really talk about?
I would say the idea that we kind of put this idea in our head of where we need to be in order to start. Like for me, I was like, oh, I can't start investing in the stock market if I don't have this, and this, and this. And I even remember in some of the society calls, it's been like, just start. Like, just start.
And just do $5.
Exactly. And so it's like understanding that with anything, you always just have to start somewhere, somehow. So being able to recognize that, maybe you want to start on your mindset. Maybe you want to start on doing an audit of your friendships. Maybe you want to start on doing an audit on yourself. So understanding like I don't have to be up here to start. You know, you can meet yourself where you are in this current moment and know that in this moment you are worthy of leveling up. You're worthy of becoming the best version of yourselves. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. You just need to recognize in this moment that you want to make a change and then start kind of brainstorming how you can do that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. A lot of us keep putting it off and waiting for that day that they're going to start. They're like, January 1st, I'm going to start like
New Year's resolutions are a hoax.
January 1st, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start saving. I'm going to cut off all my friends. New year, new me. And then by February, you're like the same version.
Right.
So I don't think you have to wait for a particular date. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait until January 1st. You don't have to wait until you have this much money in your bank, until you're 21. And also, it's okay if you're older than the expected date. Like, you don't have to just level up in your 20s. Leveling up continues in life every day. Every day. At 30, it's going to happen. At 40, it's going to happen. At 50, it's going to happen. 60, 70, God willing, we all get to 100 plus. It's going to continue to happen. You're going to be more wiser, more life experience, and it'll just happen when you want it to happen.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be on a specific date or when something magical happens in your bank account or a sale happens with gym memberships, you know?
Yes. That's something that also was reinforced to me, I think, in the society too, again, is that, again, there's such a like wide age gap, I think, with so many different members. And that reinforced to me that like, you don't have to, it's like, there's not an expiration date on leveling up.
Ooh, never.
There's no expiration date on leveling up, okay? You can start literally today.
Right now.
You can start an hour from now. You can start tomorrow.
Today. Start today. Start right now. Drink some water because you're dehydrated. Like, start there.
Yes. So,
start there. You're trying to, like, physically reach your goals. Like, search up what you need. What does your physical self look like? What is required to get there? Financial. Your financial self. What's necessary to be your best financial self? Like, start on those steps. Like, now you really don't have to wait. So yeah, I'm glad that we really had this conversation. Actually,
me too.
I'm so happy that we had this conversation because some things need to be said. Let us know in the comments if you resonated with anything we spoke about, and then also if you think we should do this again.
Yes.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Because this is definitely like something new on your YouTube channel, like having conversations with other people.
Yeah.
But
I've never had someone on my YouTube channel, and Em and I were just speaking about this. We're like, oh my God, you've never had someone. That is so crazy. There's definitely been other people in the room before. I've maybe like done collaborations earlier on, but never had someone else. And I think it brings a different dimension. So let us know.
Thank you for having me.
I thank you for coming over.
Of course. But yes, also if you guys, if we didn't touch on anything or we missed anything, I'd love to hear if people have other, like what's a misconception that you've experienced on your level up journey or something you wish was talked about more. Would love to hear about that in the comments.
Agreed. Look at you. I love that.
Of course. Yes.
All right. So that's it for today's conversation. If you aren't already in the society, it is open currently. It's going to be closing in about a week. So make sure you get up in there once it's closed. Unfortunately, we will not be accepting new members in this capacity. There will be other things, I'm sure, but not the society open to new members. So definitely join if you haven't already. And that's it. I love you guys so much. I love you to the moon and back. Future to you. Bye.
Are we going to do like a cheers or something?
Nah,
it's okay. Okay. Welcome back to our talk show.
Welcome back to the talk show.
This ain't the real over here. This is the grill.
The lack of wit show. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. Woo!
What? No.
I have here a guest with me, Miss M. Sorry. Sorry. I've never had a guest on. This is so strange.
That is so funny.
The behind the scenes that no one gets to see.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
literally
my first time experiencing
so
this.
f***ing hot right now. I'm boiling. It'll be beautiful to do. I just want you to know you're my favorite. Dun, 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 dun. Girl, there's something about you.
I know you, Snoop.